Shadow absolutely stole the show in Sonic Movie 3. And just like his original debut in Sonic Adventure 2 all the way back in 2001, that now leaves the creative team in a position where they have to figure out how best to use him going forward. And that's what we're going to be discussing in this video. Will he return in the fourth movie to steal the spotlight once again? Will he appear simply as a box-checking exercise with no real purpose? Or will he perhaps not appear at all? Personally, I think the answer to those questions depend on a few things. First of which being, will Sonic 4 lean into the story and time travel aspects of Sonic CD, or the team dynamics and branching story of Sonic Heroes? With the introduction of both Amy Rose and Metal Sonic, both scenarios are entirely possible, and depending on which one the writers go for, will create vastly different opportunities for the meaningful inclusion of Shadow. Emphasis on meaningful. If Sonic Movie 4 is based on CD, I would expect a heavier emphasis on Amy, Sonic, and Metal Sonic, leaving less narrative real estate for a deeper character like Shadow. Outside of maybe his involvement in a potential time-traveling angle with his ability to use Chaos Control. I also can't see Amy playing the damsel in distress that we got in Sonic CD either. This movie will be eager to show how strong she is and will likely spend a lot of time establishing her character, which again means less time for someone like Shadow. Let's put it this way, outside of some pretty heavy adaptations, I definitely see Sonic CD as the weaker option if they intend to include Shadow in the fourth movie. But I'd love to hear if you guys have any interesting ways you would include Shadow in a CD narrative, so feel free to share your ideas in the comments. If, on the other hand, a Sonic Hero style narrative is chosen, it leaves much more room for multiple characters to experience their own arcs. Depending on whether Rouge is introduced in this movie, or a spin-off, or not at all, Shadow could slot in beside her or go solo on a mission to uncover more about his past. Exploring old Eggman and gun bases looking for answers, and getting caught up in Neo Metal's scheme. Carving out his emotional journey and maybe even setting up the story for his own spin-off while unwittingly falling into the overarching narrative. This is definitely the approach I can see working best, or at the very least the easiest to make work. And I'm a lazy boy, so easiest way every time, please. While we're on the topic of spin-offs, the second thing we have to consider is that Shadow seems to already have confirmed spin-offs on the horizon. The big question is, will they hit before, during, or after Sonic 4? Because that will have a huge impact on Shadow appearing in Sonic 4, or if he should even be included at all. A pre-movie 4 spin-off would mean Shadow's origins and his growth as a character gets screen time all to itself, and that by the time he shows up in the main series again, he has dealt with, or at the very least understands, his past trauma, putting him in prime position to lean into the more mentor/found family/anti-hero role we all know and love him for. A post-movie 4 spin-off would mean that, like I said earlier, Sonic 4 might have to plant seeds of his backstory, then let a spin-off movie or show explore the fallout in depth later, freeing up the fourth movie to focus on new characters without cheapening Shadow's arc by including it as a mere subplot. For me though, Shadow still has a lot of baggage to deal with, if of course they intend to closely follow his game lore. And until they deal with his origin in the movie universe, I'm not sure I can believably see Shadow getting involved in a situation that doesn't have a personal stake for him. Not willingly anyway. We didn't get the grounded and well put together 06 version of Shadow until he had dealt with his past, which is why I hope all the talk of spin-offs means a fully dedicated movie for Shadow. Because as long as they continue to have Sonic and the newly introduced characters doing the growth arcs in the mainline movies, it's basically a necessity in order to have Shadow progress into the best version of the character. Either way, I'll be watching intently to see just how closely they stick to his game canon. I'm still wondering whether they'll do the whole amnesia angle or not, because that would complicate things a bit. Another big thing to consider though is how they intend to balance the new faces in each movie with the existing cast. Every new movie includes fresh characters, and we've already seen Tails and Knuckles start to stagnate slightly when it comes to on-screen growth. Letting everyone get their moment to shine becomes a juggling act, and the more characters they add, it just becomes more and more difficult to avoid making it a box-checking exercise with no real depth for anyone. With the introduction of a new hero and villain, it's a no-brainer that they'll both need a lot of screen time to establish themselves. Strike one against including too many other characters. And don't forget Movie Sonic's inevitable growth arc because they seem determined to always have him experience one. Strike two against too many characters. And finally, we have Shadow's evolution. This simply can't be achieved with just a walk-on cameo. He needs to either have his own spin-off based before this, or at the very least a reason to become unwittingly involved while planting seeds for his own future spin-off. There can be no half measures here, not if they want to do this right. Ultimately, I think some hard decisions need to be made in order to avoid what eventually happened in the games, where characters were just showing up to check a box and be included in promotional material. Either have a good reason for the character to be there and a plan for how they will grow from the experience, or just leave them out. Either give Shadow his own movie, or justify his presence in Sonic 4 with a deep dive personal subplot for him. And while you're at it, give us Rouge, goddammit. How long are you guys gonna hold out on us? We want Team Dark, and you can't have Team Dark without Big Mama Dark. Essentially though, what a lot of this comes down to is how Amy and Metal Sonic fit into the story, and whether they even need Shadow to tell said story. As I said, if the CD narrative is chosen, I can't see the damsel in distress trope remaining intact. Sonic may help her out or even rescue her, but I can near enough guarantee she will also return the favor. The post-credit scene for the third movie all but confirms that approach, so I'm not sure how much assistance Amy and Team Sonic will really need. I guess it depends on how strong they make Metal Sonic, and whether or not Jim Carrey returns so that Eggman can appear. They're clearly keeping Shadow saving him with Chaos Control in their back pocket in case he does. But with the Sonic Adventure 2 arc now completed in the movie universe, there is no longer any need for Amy to talk Shadow down and help restore his memories. Sonic has already done this universe's version of that, so that important character interaction is pretty much null and void. If we go down the hero's route though, and Metal Sonic becomes Neo Metal, then I can see the team needing Shadow's help. I just hope his appearance won't be boiled down to simply that, and that he gets some personal stake in the story as well. I'd prefer not to waste time spinning our wheels on the whole reluctant ally thing and just keep Shadow on his growth arc. If there's no meaningful way to include him, just don't. Shadow deserves more than just a glorified cameo, and like Tails and Knuckles, he can't afford to be left to stagnate and spin his wheels while Sonic monopolizes the growth arcs. We've seen tremendous depth to each and every one of these characters when they've been at their best, and I think it's fair that each of them should get the breathing room they deserve. But I think as far as the question this video asks, what does Sonic 4 hold for Shadow? In order of preference, I'd prefer his past to be covered in his own spin-off before appearing to help out willingly in the fourth movie, followed by him getting his own subplot in the fourth movie that lays the groundwork for his spin-off before becoming unwittingly involved in the fight against Metal. And obviously lastly, that he just appears and helps with no real rhyme or reason. Please don't do that, Paramount. But what about you guys? What option do you think works best for Shadow in the movie universe? And how would you go about it narratively? Or do you have an entirely different idea? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to drop a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I have plenty more videos in the works, so make sure that bell icon is checked to get notified when they go live. If you guys want to support the channel, you can become a member and get a bunch of cool icons and perks to help your comments stand out. All of your help goes a long way and helps ensure that I can keep making videos into the future. But for now, a big thank you for watching. And as always guys, take care.